Have you ever tried a stained glass project with actual glass and the soldering and all of the everything? I have, and it's very much fun. But I have to tell you, today's technique is a whole lot less messy. I'm Deb Kais with Stampin' on the Hill. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump in and let me show you what we're going to do today. I was going to try this new technique and see if I can, woohoo, I did it. Just swap it over so you can still kind of see me while I'm talking. And hopefully I won't do anything weird with my face because I'm good at facial expressions. So we're going to make this stained glass technique card. And the first thing we're going to do, here's a tip for you. First tip of the day, we're going to bring in our cutter. This is thick vanilla cardstock. I'm not sure that I can even get this anymore, but I'm going to use it while I have it. And I'm going to score it at 4 1/4 this way. Okay. And this is going to end up making 2 cards. So I'm going to score it once. I always like to go over it a couple of times when it's thick, so then you can see. And then we're going to cut it at 5 1/2. Oops. Cut it there. And now I have 2 card bases. So next week's project is also going to use this. So I thought I would share the tip with you on how to make the, or do 2 at once so that you too can know how to do it. All right. So we've got our base here. Let me move this one out of the way. Then we're going to Versamark our vellum, and I forgot to mention this, the stamp set of the month, the product of the month is Etched Autumn, which is so cool. So let me show you that. We'll be doing most all of the projects this month using this stamp set. And we're also going to bring in Loveliest Tree, just because I liked that happy birthday in there. So let us start with, I usually like to bring in a piece of paper that I don't quite have, so we'll just do it the other way. Anyway, about this size. So this is going to show me where I'm going to ink this up, and you're not going to be able to see it because remember, Versamark is clear, but it's a little sticky. And then because I didn't bring in a piece of paper, we're just going to go like this. Center it up and press it down. And then, not sure you're going to be able to really see this yet either, but let's clean this mess up a second. And I'm going to bring in this is my the embossing additions kit, which consists of the embossing buddy, which I chose not to use today. And then you get a brush and you get these reversible tweezers with it, with the tray. Okay. So I'm using black embossing powder. I'm trying not to get my fingers on the Versamark here while I do this. And you can just pour this in. You don't have to try to save it or anything, because we're going to just dump it all right back in when we're finished. So I'm trying to get all the pieces without getting my fingers on the edges here. Another way you could do this, I'm going to close this up while I'm talking, but another way you could do this is to have your project sheet even bigger than what you're going to need it, and then cut it down afterward. So we're going to, let's brush off some of this extra. Let's bring in a chamois, because I don't want to melt the powder down to my surface if I can help it. And then I did try to warm this up. I'm going to hold it down with my tweezers because there's not really a good place to actually tweeze it without making a mess. And until the embossing powder is melted, it's going to blow away. So let's turn this on. So I kind of held it up a little bit while I was doing that last bit, and I held the heat under it. That seemed to work better on those couple of places that were hard to, but you can tell when it starts to get melted, it turns shiny and a darker color usually. So I'm going to set this aside for now so that we can continue on while that dries. So let's see. We're going to stamp the inside of our card. Well, actually, I'm not going to stamp the inside of my card, but this is the time that you would do it if you were going to. And then I'm also going to stamp, as long as I would have had the inside stamping ready, I'm going to stamp 2 on this little piece of vanilla. This is just regular vanilla. And I'm going to stamp happy birthday. And then I'm going to punch this with a 1.5 inch punch. And I usually punch facing me. I like to stamp first so that I can center the greeting or the image, whatever it is, so I can center it. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. Here we go. And then while I'm here, I'm also going to use a 1 3/4 inch punch, and this is an old one. We still have a 1 3/4 inch punch, but I've never, this one still works. So I haven't replaced mine yet with the new style. These are going to get glued together. So might as well do that while we're waiting. And then we're going to flip this over. Now that it's dry, we're going to flip it over, and I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Blends. I've got the light version of each of these. So I've got Pumpkin Pie, Old Olive, Blackberry Bliss, and Daffodil Delight. Yes. All right. So I'm just going to start with the lightest color. And you usually start with the lightest color in case you are like mixing colors, then your lightest color doesn't turn purple from that Blackberry Bliss. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm just gonna color some scribbles on here. And you know, we like to do things in triangles for the most part. So we're gonna do that. And then I'm gonna come in with the next lightest color, which is gonna be the Pumpkin Pie. Again, I'm using the light Pumpkin Pie. And I'm just making squiggles. I can go over this. I can come back in later if I need some more. This is the Old Olive. And we're going to go. I'm trying to get as much coverage as I can. And now my triangles here are going to kind of be not so much. Like I can't make everything a triangle. But I'm going to just kind of fill in a little bit of green and then the Blackberry Bliss. This is my favorite. My favorite purple. And I don't want like harsh lines, so I'm not doing like straight lines. I'm trying to go in circles so that it doesn't look fabricated somehow. And let's see where else. I need a little down here and a little over here. And then this section here. And then if I stand back and look at this, it looks like I could use some over here. So I can then go over, because that had been yellow. I can go over that. All right, so let's turn it over. Actually, I think I want some more over here too. Maybe a little more orange. I'm not sure this is going to show through all the way, but we'll see. All right, so we did that on the back. I'm going to clean off my mess here. And so this is what the front now looks like. How cool is that, right? All right, so then I brought in a couple different colors because as I was creating, I wanted to see what would make this pop the most. I know I wanted black around it, but that really darkens it up some. I ended up with white on my sample that I showed at the beginning, but I'm almost thinking maybe I'll use the vanilla because then it'll match the cardstock, and that we're using the card base and the greeting. So that's the vanilla. And this is white. It's a little bit brighter with the white than the vanilla, but we'll see. And then this is Daffodil Delight. I thought, well, maybe that would work. And that just, I didn't do much for me. And the green, this is green apple green, not old olive, because I was looking for the brighter color of green, and that didn't work very well for me either. This is crushed curry. It's okay, but we're going to use this in the background anyway, so I didn't want to use that same layer again. So I think we're going to get rid of these because we're not using those. So now it's a matter of the black is going to be another layer behind this. So now it's a matter of, do we like it on the vanilla or should we stick with the white? I'm going to go with the vanilla. All right. So I've shown you this technique before on how to glue this together, but we're going to put a blob. This is a silicone craft mat. I'm going to put a blob of glue, and I'm going to spread it as thinly as I can on the back. Okay, so you can feel the texture on this from the embossing, and that's going to be the side that we want facing up. So we're going to spread some glue on here. Let's move this way. I'm kind of just going around the edges. If you wanted, you could probably go all the way across the whole thing, but this is how I usually glue stuff anyway, just around the edges. So we're just going to go with that. And then I can still use the rest of this glue for my layers, so you're not wasting glue. All right, so I left myself about a 1/8 inch edge around here. And then instead of swiping it this way, I'm going to flip it over and give it a good little back massage. Make sure that it's sticky. Okay. Then we're going to glue this onto the black piece, which I have gotten all cut and ready to go. The dimensions for this, or all the cutting instructions, will be on the blog. This will be one of the cards that we do in the class this month as well. So if you want to try this at my house, feel free. We can also do this as a virtual, but I can't send you the already done supplies. Sorry about that. So you'd have to have all the embossing stuff already. But hey, it's doable, right? All right, so before we get too far with this, we're going to throw some baker's twine. This is vanilla baker's twine. This comes in, I think it's a 5-pack, like with white and vanilla and a bunch of colors. And I'm just tying this in a knot. You'll notice I always leave it on my spool because I just don't like to be wasteful. So we'll put that there. And it's hard to hold it and tie it at the same time, but I can do it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. All right. And then we'll cut these about the same length with my non-paper scissors, darn it. I mean, they are my paper scissors, not ribbon scissors, so okay. Let me grab the cut and emboss machine, and I will be right back a minute. Okay, so my space right here is not quite large enough for everything. So I'm using the So Swirly embossing folder and this crushed curry layer. And we're just going to eye this up with the line down here that's on the folder. And I'm going to put, this is one of the thinner ones. It's not a 3D. So we're going to use the plate number 1. I should probably move my blends out of the way too. That would give me a little bit more room. Here we go. All right, so we're going to use the platform number 1, and we're going to use a cutting plate number 3, and the folder with the folded side goes through first, and then another number 3 on the top, and make sure these are kind of lined up so you don't ruin the folder. And then this can go through. And there we go with the swirly. So we're going to just glue this on, let's see, which side do I want to use? I think I like this side better. So when you have an embossed piece of paper, you can choose to use either side. I think I like this side, so I'm going to glue this side over here. You can choose to do it either way. As shown in, what did we do? We did something with the debossed side. Oh, that Jacob's coat. That's what we did. And we used the wrong side intentionally because that was just such a cool technique. I got lots of wows over that one. Okay. So this is going on here. And then I'm going to pop up this with dimensionals. Let's find some actual dimensionals instead of messing with the cutting them out. And I don't use a ton. I've seen, watching other people do, even at like craft alongs or whatever, I see people use so much adhesive. That's why you, for the most part, bring your own adhesive to the classes that I hold. I mean, dimensionals are one thing, but I only use 4-ish. And then we're going to put one, this is going to be kind of half on, half off. So I'm going to put a dimensional behind this side here only. And then we'll add a little glue to this side. And that will help it stay fairly even because this is raised up that same bit. And then this is, you can keep it straight, Deb. There you go. All right. There. So that is the stained glass technique. I hope you give it a try. Let's bring this one in because you know what, this one, I want to say that I used the dark options of the blends on this one. And this one looks so much brighter, doesn't it? Everything else is virtually the same. The greeting's different, and I used white behind this one, but I used the darker blends. So in this one, I used the light blends. Huh. Well, that's interesting. So, let's see. There we go. Leave those for you to look at off to the side. Let me know if you're liking this layout any better. I'm not sure I do yet, so we'll see. If you have not yet subscribed to the newsletter, you'll want to do that because I try not to put on Facebook and YouTube, I try not to put a whole lot of promotional things out there. But if you want to get the list of when my classes are going to be and what's going on and what the promotions are that Stampin' Up! Has, all that stuff is in the newsletter. And I just send it once a month at the beginning, unless there's something big. And I might send like a second one. So I think I've done it twice that I can remember. So it's not often. But right now, I'm still only sending once a month newsletters. So I try to cram everything in there. If you have some suggestions for that, maybe you want to see it once a week instead, so there's not so much crammed into one, please share. Anyway, you'll find the measurements. I'll put them on my blog. And The class information is in the newsletter. I'll also make sure that it's on Facebook, although you can't register through Facebook. You have to actually go to the link. And I think that's it. So until next time, thanks for watching.